Hello everyone, it's Catherine here from Minky Finger Cat. Thought I'd do some crafting. First of all, we're going to do a little admirer of the hair, especially with the super fun pink bit. So yeah, I've been in the hairdressers this morning. So it looks this lovely because Robin did my hair. Not because I did my hair. But yeah, I am going to get some scrapbooking done today. It is Saturday. I have not done my Scrappin Saturdays for any future ones. That's a lie. I've got some design team ones. I've not done any for June. They'll probably be coming out July, August time. But yeah, I've done some design team ones for Kingston Cross. But yeah, so I thought I'd do some scrapping. But you know that thing where you just don't know what you want to do? I'm in that place at the moment. So the good news is, at that point, I have a page kit. So I'm going to do the page kit. So this is a Hey Little Magpie page kit. I totally and utterly love the designs of these. Usually they're put together by Sarah. Sometimes she has somebody else chooses them, but most of the time I think it's Sarah. And this is the end product that Sarah got to. And she gives you instructions. Oh, no, just on one side. Instructions on how to put it together if you want to follow that. And then she gives you all the supplies, including things like there's a die cut in there, which is, I think, a Hey Little Magpie die. There's embellishments, there's a bit of trim, all sorts of bits and pieces. So I thought I'll stick the camera on and you can see whether I stick to this or not, because what usually happens is I follow a page kit and then totally do something different with it. Not very good at following instructions, so I don't tend to read. I tend to just look at the picture and then do what makes sense for the picture. So my first thing that I need to do is go and choose a picture to scrap. And my plan is that if I do this, it'll then get me in the zone and then I'll be fine to scrap on my own. But it just helps to just start the creative juices flowing if you've got something to work with to start with. That's what I find. I don't know if other people are the same. Sometimes I look at all of these supplies that I'm surrounded by and I go, don't really know what to do. Don't have an idea. Other days I'm like, buzzing, there's this that can be done and there's that can be done and all the rest of it. But yeah, so I thought I'd just start this intro by just explaining rather than me just going into my normal video with the voiceover. It'll now go into video with the voiceover because when I create, I don't think to talk at the same time. But and if I do, I end up just totally waffling and it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, hope everyone's having a good day. Please, whilst I'm on, like, subscribe, all of that jazz. I'll probably say it at the end of the voiceover anyway. But yeah, here we go. So it turns out I'm so lacking in mojo, I pretty much followed directly. So all the credit for this video will absolutely need to go to Sarah for designing the page kit and the layout and the sketch and everything, because I pretty much followed it. There's very little that differs from the original. I do have a few looks at whether I'll do something different, but I end up just following. I have to say that paper on the background is gorgeous, but just didn't quite go with the actual photo. So I thought I'd tell you a quick story about the photograph before we get into what I end up doing, which is, as I say, following what Sarah did. The photo is me and it's in York in a place called Valhalla, which is like a Viking themed pub. And it is after Vin and I had walked all the way around the York walls, and that's the first time I'd ever done it. It's back in July, I'm going to say 2022, but I actually need to look it up and then put the date on the scrapbook page. It was either 22 or 23 and I can't quite remember, so I'm going to have to go and look it up. But yeah, it was our first weekend away as a couple for ages and ages and ages. We'd probably only done 2 in the time that our daughter's been alive. At this point, this was probably the second one. So yeah, it was us going away to York for the weekend, and the reason we were able to do that was because she was also going to York. with her friend for the latter part of the weekend, and we went for the beginning part of the weekend. So yeah, we had a lovely time, walked around the walls, but it was wet and windy. So I don't look great. I look a little bit windswept and bedraggled. But we stopped after we had done the full walk. We did stop at Valhalla for a good old tankard. Mine's a glass half pint tankard of beer. I think mine was, it wasn't Schafferhofer, which is what I love, which is the grapefruit beer, but it was some kind of fruity beer I had, because I'm not really a lager drinker or anything. So yeah, so gorgeous place. I totally recommend. I mean, it's a bit cheesy, I suppose, the whole Viking pub thing, but it is fun. It is fun in there. So I definitely recommend. I have seen it on other people's vlogs and stuff where they've eaten there and they've had good food, but we didn't eat. We just had a few drinks, sat in those gorgeous big armchairs, and there you go. So, as you can see, there's a little bit of fussy cutting in this layout, including those like scallopy border things. I actually do another one a little bit later to just extend it. I thought I'd be able to get away with just the smaller one, but then I end up moving it around. And that's the back side of the paper that's got all those strips on. Of words, so that's going to come in handy for future scrapbooking projects. So this is a slight difference. I did end up using both ends of that die cut to sort of create a big long panel going down, and that's what I end up adding my journaling to at the bottom half on at the end. So that's one small change. Everything else pretty much the same. So now we get into the slightly laborious thing of me cutting the right strips of words. This is the panel that I'd cut out of the back of the bit that's mounting the photograph. And so I'm saving a few bits where they're full sentiments and the rest are going in the scraps. And, oh yeah, my little wood veneer unfortunately had broken. But it's fine, doesn't really matter. It says a day to remember, and I managed to, when I was gluing it in place, sort of squish it back together again, and nobody will know. So yeah, so I am going to forward this next bit a little bit because it's just me basically cutting out these sentiment strips, the ones that I think will work with the photograph and what I was thinking about at the time. And this is where I find page kits quite funny, that I fortunately, this was a day to remember. I had a really lovely day. Hubby and I had just a really lovely relaxing time, and then popped into quite a few pubs on the way for the rest of the day basically. But yeah, I think it's really funny when people do page kits and they're following what somebody else has done, but their photographs don't necessarily go with the phrases or whatever. And I find it really interesting that people scrap a page kit without a photograph in mind. I just can't do it. I don't know about anybody else, but I just can't do it. I need the photo there to make it make sense. But yeah, one of my friends, Karen, she will follow a page kit and do it all, and then she'll go and find the photograph that fits. I can't do it that way. I have to have the photo first. So you'll see that I did cut another strip. I didn't contemplate putting it down the other side of the panel, but changed my mind and instead just extended that one on the left hand side, so it's more in keeping with the actual sketch. And you can see I'm fiddling around trying to work out if I can use that or not. So each of the little elements, so the black and white, and then each of these little elements are all distressed. Obviously this takes a bit of time to do, especially with these little ones, but the good thing is if you've not cut them completely straight, it's quite forgiving when you do this because it doesn't really matter. And you can see I'm sort of fiddling around about the order, and it was just to get a bit of a balance on the colours was all I was trying to do here when I fiddled around with a couple of the order of those little sentiment strips. This one I had cut really wonky though, so I did change that and try and straighten it up a little bit, but it doesn't matter that it's not completely fitted into place. Now my ATG is currently without tape, so I do need to rectify that at some point soon. So I am using a lot of wet glue on this, which means it does need to be set aside to dry before it can go back into my album, because otherwise you have this sort of like risk of moving some of the pieces. The good news is that the movement of the pieces is really helpful when you need to wriggle them a little bit because you've not quite put it on straight. So that did happen on a couple of occasions. Again, I'm still fiddling with that piece. I am determined I want to use it. I don't, but I am determined I want to. Now, I probably added more sentiments than I was meant to, so I end up, and some of my sentiments are quite short, so I do end up not wanting to put my journaling where Sarah's put hers, which is to the right hand side of these stars, and I do just slightly flip where the stars are, so that I have them in a slightly different order. I use my white pen to put Valhalla York on the top tab, and now I am going a little bit crazier with the sequins than Sarah did. This is very familiar looking sequins. I think these were the March kit of the embellishment kit, so I think she must have made this around about the same time, or she just always has this sequin mix hanging around, I don't know. But yeah, very cute sequins in the greens, the yellows, and the sort of like pearlescent or the holographic kind of clear. So I did put a lot more sequins on, which again totally meant that I had not got enough room to be able to put my journaling where the sketch was. So I ended up grabbing my black pen and just adding a little bit of journaling onto that yellow bit at the bottom. Other than that, kept it exactly the same as the sketch. So unusual. Now, I didn't read the instructions, so if there was things that were meant to be measured in a specific way, I didn't, but pretty much kept it all the same. So kudos totally to Sarah. I'll make sure her description is in the thing below. She may even have a video on this one, I'm not sure, but please check out Hey Little Magpie for their page kits. I think they're fabulous value. I hope you enjoyed this video. Enjoyed getting a bit of scrapping done. I'm feeling inspired, might do some more. So like, subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.